Hello, hello, and welcome to another fabulous day in the art room. All right, Ms. O'Neill here. All right, this video is for my third grade friends. Welcome back, third grade friends. All right, as you remember, we kind of hit the ground running this year. We've been working on the elements of art and the principles of design, and we started hit the ground running by learning the elements of art in the beginning of the year, and then we kind of moved on to the principles of design. This is our last lesson on the principles of design. We're going to do our last three all in one go. We got this. I believe in us. I believe in us. All right. We got this. So our last three would be proportion, emphasis, and harmony, and I'm going to explain, all right, all three of those, and we're going to be able to make a work of art that shows all three. Ooh, ah, yes. All right, so all right, let's start by talking a little bit about what they are. Okay, so proportion, we're going to start with proportion. Okay, on my handy dandy chart, let's take a look. Okay, proportion. Go ahead and pause the video and say out loud what you think proportion is right now, like where your brain is right now on what you think proportion is. Go ahead and pause the video. Go ahead and say it. Did you come back? All right, awesome. Did you say it out loud? Cool. Okay, so proportion. Let's go. I'm going to go ahead and explain it just so we're all on the same page. All right, what proportion is. So proportion, here's my example here at the bottom. Okay, these are two pictures, and both of the pictures have a guy and a dog in them. Okay, so you can see that there's a guy and a dog, and here's a guy and a dog. All right, one of these pictures is in proportion, and one of these pictures is out of proportion. Okay, so the one that is out of proportion, as I'm sure you've already guessed, already gathered here, is the one where the dog is bigger than the man, because that wouldn't be the right size in real life, right? That wouldn't be the correct size. No, that's kind of like those Clifford books, if you ever read those. All right, the dog is way too big in this. All right, and then this one is in proportion because the two objects are in the correct size to each other. All right, and the more objects you have, the more that there's kind of the more objects that the artist puts in the picture, the more they kind of have to think about proportion of like, okay, this is smaller than this is bigger than that, if they want to create in proportion, which you'll see a lot of art is in proportion. But there's also artists have started to do more out of proportion art on purpose to kind of make the viewer think. It kind of makes the art a little interesting. It makes the viewer, sometimes you can look at an art and be like, oh, like it confuses you, throws you off a little bit because you're like, whoa, why is that bigger than that? Whoa, that's cool. All right, so there's all sorts of different ways that you can achieve in proportion, out of proportion, but those are two techniques, two tools that I wanted you to add to your artist tool belt, all right, to be able to use when you create art. So think about when you're creating art, am I creating an art today that is in proportion, or do I want to make some art today that's out of proportion? So those are two different tools that you can use in your toolbox. Perfect. Okay, so that's proportion. So we're going to make a work of art today that shows proportion. Like I said, you can either choose in proportion or out of proportion to play with today. Okay. The next principle of design that we're going to work on is emphasis. All right. Emphasis is the thing, and this is the easiest explanation I could possibly give you. It's easy. Emphasis is just the thing in the picture that you look at first, right? And the next time you see a work of art, notice what you're looking at first, and then wonder to yourself, how did the artist get me to look at that part first? All right, so if you're looking here at my picture, all right, these are all little sunflowers, but there's one sunflower that stands out, right? The one in the middle, the big one, all right? I drew this sunflower bigger because that's my emphasis. So that's one way that you can create emphasis. You can make the object bigger than the other objects, but there's a lot of different ways. You can make, what if I made all these sunflowers the same color, but I made this one a different color? So maybe they were all the same size, but I just made one like a different color. That would be the emphasis, right? That's the thing that stands out. So you're looking for a way to kind of make whatever you want to be the emphasis. You're kind of looking for a way to make it stand out, to make it be the thing that the viewer looks at first, right? Okay, so that's emphasis. And then our last principle of design that we're going to work on is harmony. I saved this one for last on purpose. You'll kind of see why when I explain what it is. Harmony is what ties these elements of art together, all right? So what ties the work of art together, okay? So in harmony, you can see I've got a lot of different objects in this picture, but they all kind of flow and they look more natural because I've repeated a lot of the same colors. You see that? I've repeated a lot of the same colors. I've also created kind of some movement in this artwork. I've placed things. I put the objects in places that are kind of repeated that make it look like it goes together. Okay, here's another way that I like to create harmony, and I'm going to show this to you with my example here. All right, I like to do this in my paintings a lot, where maybe I do up here in this corner, I do a lot of yellow, and then down here, I'll hide a little bit of yellow down here in this corner. Okay, so up here, there's a lot of yellow, and then down here, there's a little bit of yellow, and that kind of, what that does is that makes the viewer's eye travel around the painting, because what we want to do is this is how we want the viewer to kind of experience that painting. We want them to first look at it and notice that emphasis. So in here, you can see in my picture, the emphasis are these big lizards, right? All right. They're going to look at the lizards first, and they're going to notice that sun and that moon, all right, because they're in the center, okay? That's my emphasis. And then they're going to start traveling. You want them to see that emphasis, then you want their eye to start traveling so they take in the whole painting, right? So I'm going to say, okay, I'm looking and I see this yellow and it's kind of making my eye travel. And that's just an example. I could do that with any color. I could do that with blue. I could do that with green, right? You can see I've even kind of made a mirror here where I've got the green lizard up here, and then I made this border piece up here green on purpose to kind of make that eye travel, right? Okay, so that's how you can create harmony. There's so many different ways you can create harmony, like where you place things, if you repeat things. This kind of also, the border naturally creates harmony because it's repeating a lot of the same shapes, and that'll kind of bring things together. So harmony is how you make the picture kind of look fit and look like it's all together, right? How you're kind of, it's like the bow that you're wrapping around the present. It's kind of tying it all together, right? Okay, so those are our 3 principles of design that we're going to be working on in this work of art. So you might be wondering, do I have to do a picture of lizards? No, no. All right, this is just my example. As you know, there are a lot of times where I'll show you a project example that's just what I felt like doing at the time when I was working on proportion, emphasis, harmony. If you asked me to do a different one today, I would do something totally different. This is just where my brain was that day, right? So for you have to make a picture that shows proportion, emphasis, and harmony. Here's how you're going to do this. This is how you organize your thoughts. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to take one piece of paper to draw on, all right, grab a pencil, then grab an extra piece of paper, right, to write on. On this paper, you're going to write proportion, emphasis, and harmony, okay? Write those 3 words, and then write a little dash next to them, and you're going to go ahead and brainstorm. Before you even draw anything on your paper, go ahead and brainstorm what you would like to make your last principles of design artwork about, all right? Maybe you're like, oh, Ms. O'Neill, I'm just so into Pokemon right now. That's awesome, all right? If you're into Pokemon right now, why don't you draw some Pokemon, right? You could do in proportion, you could do out of proportion. As you know, like I said, I did out of proportion here because I've got my lizards are really big and then the sun and moon are like really small. I kind of made that so it'd be a little visually interesting so the viewer would say, hey, that wouldn't happen in real life. What's going on there, all right? So you could do in proportion, out of proportion, but make sure you have proportion in there. So I would write down on my piece of paper, if I was brainstorming this before I'd drawn it, I would say, okay, proportion, what I'm going to use is I'm going to do out of proportion, all right, and I'm going to make my lizards bigger than my sun and my moon, all right? And then for emphasis, I'd say, okay, my emphasis is going to be the middle of my picture, and I'm going to have my lizards, all right, be the emphasis because they're really big, okay? And the emphasis is also, as you can kind of tell, I left the middle of the picture has a little bit more space, and then the border is actually really crowded, and that also kind of makes this more of an emphasis in here. The eye's going to look here first, all right? Awesome. So that's my emphasis. And then harmony, I would describe how I created harmony in the picture. So I repeated a lot of images. I used 2 lizards. I kind of placed my objects in the four corners that it would kind of tie together nicely. And I also used colors. I used warm and cool colors in this one. And you could do, maybe you're just feeling the cool colors, maybe just feeling the warm colors, all right? Your color palette, that's up to you. Choose colors that you feel like go together if you want to create harmony through your colors, all right? But choose some colors that go together. But write down like where next to harmony, how you plan on tying the picture together, okay? Awesome. So after you've written down your list, then go ahead and start sketching it out and making it come to life. And then if you have something to color it in with, color it in. All right. Don't forget to, if you want this to count towards your art grade, make sure that you snap a picture of it and then send it to me, to my email address. And if you go into your email address and you start typing, if you type my first and last name, it'll pop up and you can just click on it. All right. And then don't forget to like actually upload the picture. You can click on the little paper clip and it'll upload it. All right. But that is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for how you created proportion, emphasis, and harmony in your work of art. Okay, so here are some questions for you. When you're all done making your beautiful work of art, I want you to go ahead and self-evaluate. Here's what I want you to ask yourself, okay? So if you need to like pause this video and then unpause it when you're all done with your artwork, you can do that, all right? But here are the questions that I want you to ask yourself. This is self-evaluation. All artists have to self-evaluate their work before they can even, before we bring it to other people to look at, we always have to kind of self-evaluate and think about, okay, what do I want to change? Or how did I do this? What did I do well? What could I improve on? All right, we're always self-evaluating, right? So the first thing is, did I choose objects in my picture to emphasize? All right, so go ahead and think about that. You don't have to write these down. These are just things to think about. Did you choose objects in your picture to emphasize? Which ones did you choose? How did I put emphasis on these objects? So how did you make those objects the emphasis of your picture, the thing that viewers are going to look at first, all right? And you can always test what your emphasis is by showing your picture to somebody in your family and seeing what asking them to point out what they're looking at first, right? Okay. The next one is, did I use standard proportion or did I break proportion on purpose? So that would be, did you use in proportion or did you go out of proportion, right? Awesome. Where do you see proportion in your work of art? So where are you using proportion? For me, I would answer that by saying, oh, I use proportion in my work of art because I've got lizards and a sun and moon, and they are out of proportion because I made the lizards bigger than the sun and moon. All right. The next question is, did I create a sense of harmony in my work? So that's kind of you saying yes or no. You could say, I feel like I did create harmony in my work of art, or you could say, no, I don't think I really got that one. Maybe I got to ask Mrs. O'Neill some questions, right? All right. How did I create that sense of harmony? So you can answer, how do you feel like you tied this work of art together? How did you think you achieved harmony? Maybe you repeated objects, maybe you repeated colors, right, to kind of tie things together. Do I think that my work successfully communicates proportion, emphasis, and harmony? And that's your last question. So go ahead, self-evaluate, and then, like I said, if you want to send this to me as part of your art grade, take a picture of it, all right? Send it to me through email. All right, if you have any questions, please email them to me, or if your adult is using Remind, they can send it to me on Remind. And that is our lesson for today. I hope you enjoyed, and I can't wait to see your beautiful art. See you later, guys. Bye.